Hey, John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. I was checking my email this morning, and I wasn't planning on recording a video this morning, maybe later today, but I saw this email and I thought I have to respond to this email sort of right away, and I'm going to sort of be a little bit mean here. Now, obviously I'm not going to, this is for education purposes, but I do want to kind of tear apart this email a little bit because I think there's some flawed thinking here, and I think that sometimes we can be our own problem, and that's the case here with this email. So apologize in advance. I'm not going to use names obviously in this email, but I'm going to be honest here. This is what I do, is I try to be as honest as possible and present it in a nice way. So anyway, let's get to the email here. So here's the email. It says, was just reading some year-old post about the guy who quit his job out of boredom. So I did this post about Hacker News Generation, about this guy quitting his job. He says, I've been in the industry for 30 years, 15 as an independent contractor. I became an independent contractor when I quit my last full-time job of 6 years out of boredom. Okay, so he's quit out of boredom. Contracting was, quote, harder, making me suddenly unbored, and I was surprised to find that most of the work was really interesting too. I always have taken on boring tasks along with the good ones on any given contract because I know that's just part of the business, and I need to be doing cool stuff all the time is not a recipe for getting paid. So okay, so that all makes sense at this point. That said, I was just on a multi-year assignment where I walked away after 16 months out of boredom. I was sitting at the desk, surfing the internet for days and days. We would occasionally get something to do, but my utilization ratio was never more than 20% per week, except for a few spikes. I proposed new projects and developed an Angular JS prototype, but everyone fought me because they were so addicted to the safety factor. I went to management several times to find a way out. They were nice but didn't really care. I feel horrible about walking away and guilty too. Worse, I'm unmotivated even though there are lots of cool tutorials I could be working. One of my friends wants me to study law under him. My state law is apprenticeships, but the level of work required is daunting, and I don't know if I can give up technology for that. Hopefully my motivation will return. Wish I had something more to say, but I'd rather dig ditches than be bored. So, okay, a lot of interesting things here, and again, I'm not trying to be like mean for the purpose of being mean, but this is your fault. You have made this mistake. The problem is not your situation, it's what you've made of it in this case. It's very clear to me, the whole quitting the job from being bored, this is something that you're going to have to conquer, right? If you're in this situation, you're going to have to figure out ways to not be bored on your own, right? So, just picking this apart from the beginning here, obviously you have a lot of experience. You've been in the industry for 30 years, 15 as an independent contractor, right? And you said that you quit your first full-time job 6 years out of boredom. Okay, this is this is the start of that problem. Is quitting out of boredom is not really a good reason to quit your job. I understand that you're going to be bored, but find another job and find some interest. But the key thing is that just because you're in a position where you're bored, right, doesn't mean that you have to just sit and browse the internet. I mean, that's the thing that really, I think, triggered for me that I need to answer this email, is because when you say I was sitting at my desk surfing the internet for days and days, and we would occasionally get something to do, then I think, okay, this is your fault. If you're sitting there surfing the internet for days and days, you're bored because you chose to be bored, right? You chose to surf the internet for days. Again, not a moralistic judgment. It's just a personal thing. Like, if you start getting in the habit of doing that, then you're not going to be very motivated, and you're going to really start avoiding work because you're developing this habit. The thing is, you can't control necessarily how much work that your company gives you, right? And a lot of developers, the reason why I'm making this video answer here It's because a lot of developers are in the same situation. I've been in this situation myself, and I've felt this way. And the thing is that it's really easy to sit at your desk and just surf the web because you're not getting any work. But what that's doing is it's taking the responsibility for your life and your career and your happiness and your non-boredom, and you're putting it on your employers or the world, your external influences, instead of on yourself. What you really have to do in that situation is say, okay, instead of browsing the web, instead of, even if they're utilizing me 20%, what can I do? And heck, rather than browsing the web, work on your own project. Get paid to work on your own company or business. Obviously there's a bit of a conflict of interest there, but I'll be a realist and I'll say, if it's between surfing the web, which has zero value for your company and for you, and doing something that's maybe a little bit morally questionable, but building some value for you, at least choose that. If you don't feel right doing that, and I understand a lot of people won't feel right doing that, although, again, if you're surfing the web, I don't really see the difference, but regardless, I know that people always say this, then work on something for your company. Build tools, build something, like figure out something. Go to your manager and say, how can I help you? Can I help you do your job? What can I do for you? Or just start working on projects yourself to improve things. I know that, the common excuse is, they don't like what I build, or they don't want me to work on other things. That's bullshit. Honestly, that is total bullshit. You can work. There's always something that you can do. If you have, it's all about the attitude, right? Because if your attitude is that you're always going to get shot down, that you're not going to be able to do these things, then you're going to find plenty of excuses for it. But, it's really going to come down to you. It's always going to be up to you to choose to find something to do, something fulfilling with your time. You've got to take it on yourself. You have to be responsible for your own career. You have this pattern here, again, not trying to pick on you personally, because I think this is a lot of developers, and it's been me at different times, but that's, just using this as an example, but you have this pattern of letting yourself get bored and quitting, of putting the onus on your employer or someone else to make you happy and to make your career be fulfilled, and that's just not going to work. It's not going to happen. I know, you've been an independent contractor. Good. So that's taking charge. But even still, this habit seems to have followed through of basically being bored and then quitting, stopping, not having a real goal, a plan aside from just going to your job and hopefully it's that you get work that makes you feel fulfilled. So I don't want to make this too long, but I really think this is the key to your problem, because the thing is, like you said here in this email, that you're not motivated really to work on anything at this point. You feel horrible about walking away and guilty because you weren't really accomplishing much. But you said you're not motivated to study law under the apprenticeship program, and you don't think you can give up technology. So the thing is, I think it's all related, right? Again, it's this factor of you've gotten into this habit of letting yourself be bored. When you get into that lazy kind of habit, which, again, not to pick on you, I do it, I've been there before, I try to avoid it, then every kind of work doesn't seem very appealing. When you get into the habit of working and you're filling up your time and you're going, then more work feels good. Then the boredom is the worst thing, right? And it makes you lazy. Boredom makes you lazy, right? So the way that you combat this is that you fight the urge to be lazy, which stops the boredom, which stops the cycle. It's like a self-fulfilling cycle. So I'd really encourage you to do a couple of things here. The first thing that I would say is stop it with the boredom. Make your time productive as possible. Always be working on something productive. Doesn't mean never to have downtime, but enough of this. You cannot just sit and surf the internet. In fact, you might want to block yourself from the internet and from these distractions and start working on a project. If it's a new job and you're going to just work as hard as you can at that job, then do that. Otherwise, if it's your own project, just start working on that. Do not rely on someone else to solve your boredom problem. And then that will make you feel more motivated. Then you'll have your motivation will return. Do not wait for your motivation to return. Don't say, hopefully my motivation will return. It will not. You will become more and more lazy. I know people, friends of mine that are bums, and they have gotten used to a lifestyle of being a bum. Not saying you're a bum, but they've gotten used to sleeping on other people's couches and not holding a job and sleeping 10, 12 hours a day and not doing much. And when they have to do a little bit of work, it's actually really, really hard for them, and it's really a struggle because they've gotten into this habit. And I feel bad for them because even just working for 3 or 4 hours is a lot of work, and it's a shock to their system because they've gotten into this habit. So all I'm saying is, you can develop the habits that will keep you from being bored, that will keep you motivated. Motivation does not return. It doesn't come to you unless you go out and seek it. And you're going to find that by going out and making sure that you're working hard, that you're not letting yourself get bored, that you're making that choice. It's all up to you. So thanks for this email. Really good to again, don't mean to pick on you, but I think this is really important because there's a lot of developers out there right now that are watching this video, kind of surfing the internet 80% of their day. They won't admit it, but they need to understand this, that they're in the solution for this. And so I appreciate you sending this email. Hopefully this helps you. Hopefully I wasn't too harsh here. If I was, send me an email, and I would love to try and to offer some advice and help you, because I really feel for this position that you're in. I've been there myself. I know a lot of developers have been there, and hopefully this will help them. So thanks again, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Take care.